AI video. A technology that was once thought impossible, but is now more prevalent than ever, reaching bounds of realism that we never thought that it could even achieve. Threatening to take jobs that once relied on human creativity. And it all started with spaghetti. It's a rainy day in 2023. A user on Reddit by the name Chaindrop is surfing the web when he stumbles upon a subreddit titled Stable Diffusion. After learning a bit about it, he decides to type his own text-to-video prompt into the software, and then posts an AI video titled Will Smith Eating Spaghetti. People were shocked and kind of scared, with some people saying, "Well, that was terrifying," and others saying, "This is horrifying, LMAO, I want more." Before we go any further, we need to understand how AI video works. AI video is generated through diffusion models. Basically, AI creates random moving pixels, and through machine learning, it forms the pixel into a moving shape. Then, iteration after iteration to create the final product. There's a lot more math, but the diffusion part is the basics of it. Okay, so, 2024. AI is skyrocketing, with generative content being the top of the headlines. Things like updates to large language models and the use of generative content in schools. OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, released their first Sora model, and then Google releases Veo. Sora was creating hyper-realistic video, but things still feel off. Inconsistencies in logic, hands or actions being weird, but especially contrast. So when you see an AI-generated video, there's almost always distinctive highlights and shadows, which is where the diffusion stuff comes in. Now, in 2025, AI video is at its best, with Sora 2 creating videos that people see and believe as real, and Veo 3.1 releasing and having the most realism and consistency of detail. The people of the video and film industry are considering the fact that AI might be able to take over, and one man created something as proof of concept for an AI film.
Yeah, my name's Tony Savo. I'm the owner and founder of Sacktown Famous. I'm also a writer and director. I directed the first AI-generated film to premiere in IMAX called Shape of Things to Come. When I was coming up, the VCR was released. So you had this ability to be able to watch movies at home, and just fell in love with storytelling and, going to these different worlds and these different characters and hearing their stories and adventures. What I'm suggesting is that we're not inventing technology, but we're discovering technology. What that means, and what it means as we discover that, what it means to be a person. I did the voice of both the characters, the protagonist, Tommy Timex.
I remember leaving thinking, nobody knows why we keep building what we're building.
And the antagonist, Autonomous.
Well, we don't have a lot of time, but let me try and bring you up to speed here with the short version.
The way it came about was, hey, there's technology available that you can make a movie. And as a guy who feels like I've seen everything and, I've seen it a million times and feel like I knew how a movie should look and feel and all that, but didn't have like the vast budget for all these different roles that you would have to fill traditionally, and permits and equipment and all that. So we did announcements, and we got press and media from here to Japan and India. Wow. Yeah. The film's doing really well in Japan, so to be able to make something that they like and to see them receive it, it's really rewarding. So the funny thing is when I made the film, I thought that the tech bros would love it because it's exactly what they were looking for, and I thought I checked all those boxes, and I thought that the traditional cinema people would not receive it, but it was the reverse of what actually happened. Because of the nature of the topic was very sensitive to some of the people in tech. They just didn't like it, and so they kind of just they ignored it, and then the traditional film community saw it, and I guess they saw it on the merits of storytelling and short film, and based on those merits, they thought it was good enough to be a part of their festivities and their festivals. And so it's not Steven Spielberg or Martin Scorsese or anything like that, but it's enough there to show somebody at Netflix or Hulu or any of these studios to say, hey, look, here's a story, here's the basic idea, like a pilot film. Here's the characters, here's the story. Do people want to see more? At the base level, yeah, there's no substitute for a real film with real actors that's written like all the classics and in the classical ways. I don't think there's any. And even if you were trained, bots to watch 1,000 classical films, that they would come up with something great. The problem is we already, without the bots, if you were just to get rid of the bots, we have an oversaturation of like stuff that's really not that great. So it drops collectively the standards down for everybody. The problem is we have an oversaturation of shoddy content just across all mediums. The machine is training off of its data. So when it puts this artificial data in, and then it sees the response and it trains off of that, if we click it, if we engage with that content, it just signals that that's good content, and it'll just double down. I think they're going to continue to get better. I think honestly that the kids that are born now, that are growing up, by the time they're adults, they won't be able to distinguish the difference. But there's a distinction that I think is important. They won't care. You know what I mean? And within 5 to 6 years, all of the content will be internet culture. You know what I mean? It'll be machine culture. It'll be hard to find anything that's human based. So it'll be different. The people growing up in that era will really like it, and they'll be normal to them. And they might look at our stuff as the way like we look at black and white movies. Like.
AI is truly rising up in the film world, and Tony made some really good points about that. I wanted to gain both perspectives on the current situation, and thankfully I was able to get some interviews with some film students at my local college.
My name is Jace Hendricks. I got into filmmaking and film as an art when I was in high school, and what stood out to me is how a combination of so many different art forms, cinematography, editing, music, how storytelling, whatever, how all of these combine into one, just it feels like a masterpiece, something like, damn, I want to do that, this seems amazing.
It should never be something that replaces anyone else's work. You now get into the territory of deception of reality. And I think that's a huge downfall towards, especially social media. Social media is our biggest form of media. And so a lot of these film productions, and personally as a filmmaker that I want to, advertise my films, social media is the best way to do it. With AI being such a dominant presence, it's like, how do you market without using AI and also being completely original?
I think in my head I expect that I should be automatically making Hollywood, quality stuff off the bat, even though it's not possible. And I feel like I'm starting to get to the point where I'm starting to take pride in what I'm making, but I'm still working on it.
I don't believe that it will replace the film industry or film people in general. But I worry that the people who are heavy AI users can trickle into some of these creative spaces and just start taking over.
Using other people's work and public domain stuff that people have made, or I like having to search around and find what I think is great off of other works of art that other people have created and allowed me to use. I like doing all the other parts myself.
If it's an entire film not used from a camera, not having any real actors and so on, that's where it's like, yeah, this is not what filmmaking is. It's not creative. It's not original.
I think the need for human creativity will always be present. I think there's still people who are trying to be creative. At this point, I don't think it's good enough to, take over the industry or stuff like that. It seems like it's mostly been confined to background stuff in movies, or smaller parts of media and stuff.
So, Is AI going to take over the film world? Personally, I don't think so. But I think we should be prepared in case it does happen. We as humans must continue to strive forward, to create, to build, and innovate. And if there's one thing I can leave you with at the end of the day, it's this quote from Tony.
Like at the end of the day, I just thought about, like, I got this movie and I can make it. Why wouldn't I? Like, imagine I got in a car accident, right? And I'm sitting there thinking, man, I had this movie. Now I got nothing to leave behind. You know what I mean? Like, at least I got a little something here that's a story, some characters, a couple one-liners. You know, hey, there was this guy one day who made a little story, and here it is.